Imagine you're a self-made black millionaire, walking in a world of luxury, power, and polished boardrooms, where every word you say moves money, and everyone watches you with either admiration or envy. But one quiet, hardworking intern starts, slipping through your thoughts not because she's flashy or flirty, but because she's single quotes different. And when you follow her after work one rainy night, what you see changes everything you thought you knew about purpose, love, and real strength. What she does in the shadows will leave you speechless. Before you scroll, make sure you hit subscribe, because this story, yes, this one will stay with you forever. Dorian Sinclair was the kind of man whose shadow whispered of wealth. A tech mogul in his mid-30s, Dorian's skin was a rich brown that glowed under boardroom lights, framed by tailored suits and a Rolex that never blinked past schedule. His company, Syntech Global, ran algorithms that predicted world trends and secured trillion-dollar decisions. But in the entire kingdom of skyscrapers and server rooms, there was one intern who never tried to be seen, yet Dorian saw her every single day. Her name was Amara Wells, a 24-year-old data intern from Southside Chicago with thick curls pinned back in a loose bun, oversized glasses hiding soft observant eyes, and clothes that whispered humility. She didn't schmooze, didn't network, she just worked. And left at exactly 5:01. One day, Dorian watched her tap out quietly while the others stayed behind pretending to be ambitious. His curiosity twitched. Why did she work with surgical precision but never spoke during idea circles? Why did she flinch when the CFO raised his voice in meetings? Dorian wasn't used to people hiding in plain sight. So he did something he hadn't done in years. He followed someone. In an unmarked black SUV, windows tinted like a secret, he trailed her through the drizzle across the city, past the glittering skyline and into a gray part of town where traffic signs sagged. She parked outside a tattered building with barred windows. He watched her enter, clutching a tote bag. No logo. No laptop. Inside, Amara transformed. For hours, he sat in his car and watched through a dusty side window what appeared to be a community center, and her, tutoring children, hugging elders and cooking for people who looked like they hadn't eaten all day. Dorian sat back, stunned. The girl who decoded predictive data models by day spent her nights washing dishes and reading bedtime stories to kids with no parents. And the next morning, she showed up at work like nothing happened. Dorian began a quiet obsession. Each evening, after running boardroom battles and signing merger deals, he followed Amara not to spy, but to understand. He started learning names. Jamal, 10 years old, missing his father. Rosa, elderly, illiterate, laughed when Amara sang to her while folding laundry. This girl wasn't just kind, she was saving lives. On paper, Amara made $18 an hour, lived in a shoebox apartment, and had no next of kin. Yet she smiled with a kind of peace Dorian hadn't known in years. One evening, he entered the center. Amara was helping a teen girl with her FAFSA application. Dorian introduced himself as Mr. Blackwell, hiding his identity. Amara welcomed him like she welcomed everyone, open arms, no suspicion. He helped a boy build a robot from soda cans. The next evening, he came again and again, until weeks passed and he no longer wore suits, he wore sweats, carried bags of food, fixed the broken sink. Yet Amara still didn't know who he truly was. One night, after sharing coffee over a broken vending machine, Dorian asked, "Why do you do all this?" She smiled gently and said, "Because someone did it for me once, and then they died. I promised I'd pass it on." That night, he couldn't sleep. The next day, in the boardroom, his billion-dollar acquisition pitch stalled because his mind was still on a shy girl reading bedtime stories in a musty room. When Amara missed work due to illness, he panicked more than he had during cyberattacks or stock drops. He sent flowers. She returned, pale but grateful, never asking how he knew. The moment she thanked him for a cheap bouquet with a sincere, "You're too kind." Asterisk, 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 something in Dorian cracked wide open. Asterisk, but secrets never stay buried. One day, a gossip-hungry executive spotted Dorian in the community center and followed the breadcrumbs. The news leaked. Headlines exploded. Billionaire caught volunteering in slums. Intern connection. The media spun romantic webs. Interns whispered. HR panicked. Dorian, normally calculated, made a mistake he confessed everything to. Amara over a chipped kitchen table. Her reaction wasn't what he expected. "You followed me?" she asked, eyes stormy. "You lied about who you were?" Dorian's mouth opened, then closed. Amara left. For a week, she didn't show up at work. She didn't show up at the center. She vanished. Dorian canceled meetings, called in favors, and finally traced her to a shelter on the outskirts of the city. When he found her, she was crying while helping a young mother escape domestic violence. He approached, silent. When she finally looked at him, he dropped to his knees, whispered, "I didn't follow you to trap you. I followed you because ... you reminded me how to be human." Amara cried harder. And then she forgave him. But she didn't just take him. Back she gave him rules. "You want to love me?" she said. "Then love this place. Love these people. Not with money. With your time." And he did. For the first time in years, Dorian canceled investor calls to cook spaghetti for 50 people. He taught computer classes to kids. He watched Amara not the way men watch women, but the way hope watches light. 6 months later, Syntech Global opened a new wing called Wells Rising, an incubator for underserved youth. At the launch event, Amara stood beside him in a sleek navy dress, nervous but radiant. The world finally saw what he had seen all along. But the biggest surprise came when Dorian paused mid-speech, looked directly at Amara, and got down on one knee. Gasps erupted. Cameras flashed. "I built empires chasing power," he said, "but I found my purpose chasing you. Amara Wells, will you marry me?" Silence stretched like forever. And then she whispered, "Only if we're equal partners. In everything including love." The crowd exploded. Months later, their wedding was held not in a resort, but in the very community center where it all began. Kids she once tutored were flower girls and ring bearers. Rosa read a poem. Jamal rapped a verse. The community she had once saved now surrounded her as she stepped into a new chapter with the man who had everything, but gave it up to follow one extraordinary woman who taught him that love is action, not luxury, and that sometimes the richest people in the world are those who give the most away when no one's watching. Now, if this story touched you even a little, don't scroll away. Hit subscribe, because stories like this, they deserve to be told. Asterisk, asterisk.